OWCS World Finals here at DreamHack Stockholm in Sweden.
We're back.
You're thriving. We are back. Rainbows.
We're back.
No rainbows. Lots of snow, actually. It's cold here.
Is it lots of snow outside?
I missed.
I mean, we're inside.
I'm making
so.
assumptions. I don't know, has anyone been outside recently?
What a question to ask. What a question to ask.
I'm trying to
Someone's going to pop up.
I'm just happy there's snow outside, okay? Because Sweden is notoriously known for slask.
Slask being sludge?
Yeah, it's just, it's like the
Mushy
watery,
snow,
mushy.
Yeah, like ice snow.
No one likes stuff.
That might be the grossest
Turns
word
gray in about one day.
That's right. Swedish people are really good at putting ugly words on bad things, like slask.
That's good. Yeah, I'm feeling this. I felt that one. Visceral reaction to that one. I also have those kind of reactions when I look at brackets. So let's take a look.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I'm feeling brackets.
Oh my
They're a
Lord.
lifestyle. They're a vibe. They're me, essentially. Me on a plate.
am
we will be
bracket.
taking a look. There it is. There is our bracket. Of course, the upper bracket final matches. They will have to wait because we're shifting all of our focus now on both of our elimination matches. TM and SSG, Energy and ENCE. Oh man, everything on the line for these teams. Their entire year all led to this. They're finding themselves in those elimination matches after just one day of play. Very short turnaround, of course, to switch things up from their approach. Do you even feel like that is a necessity? Should you throw the handbook out of the window?
I don't know. I think it's a little bit too late to make a drastic turn. I think at this point in the tournament, you need to make small adjustments. To that end, I mean, Space Station, in the end, they are playing the meta comp. They're playing what a lot of teams have had confidence in. But we'll see if they can take on Twisted Minds, who've had a unique look that's probably really hard to be prepared for.
Yeah, I think that is the most crucial kind of question. How will Twisted Minds adapt, or how will Space Station rather adapt to Twisted Minds? Because we saw the composition that Twisted Minds came out with. They were rocking this kind of Pharah Ashe look. But then we look at SSG. They're playing this pretty close range. Reaper and got the Echo as well, who in theory should be able to shut down the Pharah if you can get on a flank, put pressure on the Pharah. But there's going to be a window there for Twisted Minds to really get some opportunities to shut down SSG. Of course, it's going to be entirely map dependent. SSG in this kind of matchup, they'll have the maps they'd want to favor and go to. And then Twisted Minds, they'll have their own where maybe the Pharah excels a little bit more.
The caveat here, of course, being yes, Twisted Minds strategy with that Ashe and a Pharah, that looked competent in some places against Falcons, who were clearly thrown off by it. But SSG, they know what to expect from Twisted Minds. They've played them before. They know those players. They're familiar from an entire season of play.
Yeah, knowing and responding, though, could be different tasks, especially with players like Quartz and Labda, huge threats on their heroes. It might be off meta, but sometimes if you just execute so cleanly, especially on a highly spammy pokey composition, like on land, a player makes a mistake here and there and gets picked off, and suddenly you're looking at a really weak time bank, especially with those ultis, right? Bob and Barrage from Ashe and Pharah, respectively, both big pop-off ultimates with potential to turn fights, especially if you do go for the Reaper Echo style. I'm not sure Reaper Echo actually works against that. You might need to have some hero counter picks, and I wonder for Space Station, have they practiced that? Do they have more picks in the tank? I mean, Falcons brought out the hit scan to answer this comp. Maybe that looked good for them, the Junker Queen. But is that something SSG are going to go to? I mean, normally, we talked about this before, that normally that would mean Sparker would need to be in the lineup, or maybe we'd see a double swap like Backbone to Echo and Psycho takes a hit scan, but still, it just doesn't seem so obvious that you can just follow in Falcon's footsteps for SSG.
Yeah, so many questions. I mean, going back to stage 4, for example, we saw Twisted Minds face off against Space Station several times, and that was when Twisted Minds, they decided to play Labda on the Pharah. But it kind of makes sense. That wasn't a recent meta, and you still had someone like Sparker in the lineup. Hit scan players kind of excelled in that kind of meta. Now we find ourselves in a Mauga meta. Sparker is not in the lineup instead. And so again, lots of question here about how will Space Station adapt to Twisted Minds that took a map of Team Falcons.
Yeah, and those upper bracket quarterfinals were unforgiving in the first 2-2. Now we're finding ourselves in the lower bracket elimination match, but it is first 2-3. So there is another window of opportunity for both of these teams in case they're not the one to get the momentum early on in the series. Now we're ready for this. One team will advance, the other one will be going home. Let's send it over to Golden Boy on the stage.
That's right, Zoe. It is elimination time, and it's unfortunate because we got 2 EU teams that are going to be clashing against one another here. But one thing's for certain, they're going to bring it. Otherwise, their tournament is done. Let's go ahead and bring out your first team. Welcome to the stage, Space Station Gaming!
The champions of Europe, one of the best rush teams in the world. They didn't start out this tournament how they wanted to, but they still have the opportunity to finish it in style. It's your hometown heroes Space Station Gaming.
And their opponents, you saw them at the beginning of the day. They're here once again. Make some noise for Twisted Minds!
And Twisted Minds, the underdogs going into the tournament. We didn't know what to think of this roster going in, but they've shown that they're one to respect. Quartz has been looking phenomenal on the hit scan, and Labda's Farah. How will Space Station adapt to the amazing play of Twisted Minds?
All right, coaches, go ahead and fist bump. Players, take to your stations. It's time to get this show on the road. Make some noise for Jaws and Necra.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. Yes, Space Station Gaming facing down quite a familiar foe in Twisted Minds. Not exactly in Twisted Minds' favor. The last 5 times they actually faced against each other, Space Station have had them beat every single time.
That is something that we take a look at, and historically you would think Space Station in this matchup should be an easy walk in the park for them, but I feel like this is a whole new Twisted Minds that we haven't had a chance to see since that very first stage that they won in EMEA. This is going to be a tough team to beat.
100%. I mean, TVNT has been such a massive boon as well for the Twisted Minds roster. Came in at the height of the Diva meta and just blew people out of the water. And of course, Twisted Minds, like you mentioned, winning that stage 1. Funnily, Space Station have their tank player they won stage 1 with on their team. Not currently being fielded right now, but can come out at any moment. Of course, it will be Hardy starting. I'm sure you heard the crowd in the audience chanting Hardy's name. And in fact, when I spoke to Space Station Gaming the other day, there was like, the more people scream Hardy's name, the more powerful we actually get.
I think that's so true, though. I feel like Space Station is one of those teams that has always played with their emotions. They are such a momentum-heavy team where if they're going to start with a win, they're going to finish with a win and finish with a bang. So very excited to see how they're going to do. But I think Twisted Minds, this is where we have to see Space Station absolutely put up for this match. They're not going to play super conventional. We've already seen Twisted Minds do something almost impossible, which is take a map off of a Korean team. So can Space Station figure out the secret sauce to deal with this Farah and Ashe comp?
Yeah, I mean, look at the last major. No EU or NA team managed to do that, and it was at the hands of the DPS players from Twisted Minds. The Farah and the Ashe caught one of the scariest hit scans we have right now in Overwatch, honestly. Even some of the Korean players too that are very history. Like, they are saying Quartz is one of the scary players that they don't want to match up against in the server. Speaking of which, let's jump on to OWCS. Our first map here in this series, Space Station Gaming taking on Twisted Minds. An elimination match. Loser here is going to walk all the way home if they haven't bought a plane ticket.
This is a very bold decision for SSG to have picked this map, knowing what Twisted Minds have just accomplished on OWCS. So this is really where you're going to actually give Space Station a run for their money. You're going to have to put up to the test of whether or not they can actually deal with this Farah, if they see it.
Right. You almost guaranteed it on this point, right? Normally you'd think, you know, Echo pretty good counter against the Farah, but Farah nowadays, after the change, what feels like eons ago now, a lot more mobile in the skies. We'll see if Quartz can also be the difference maker. And I like what they were kind of talking and alluding to, not even alluding to, just kind of chatting about on the desk, about Space Station being one of the best rush teams in the world, if not the best rush team. So can Twisted Minds stand up to the brunt? This sheer force from Space Station as they roll out the gates. Oh, there it is. There's Quartz on the Ashe. And Farah as well, rolled out by Twisted Minds. Someone they managed to topple Team Falcons with earlier on.
We're going to see Psycho have to take out that aerial duel versus Labda, but a lot of this pressure is going to be put onto the Malgus to make sure they can sustain through this damage. Echo has so much burst potential against this massive tank, and so you're going to be looking at TVNT trying to make sure that Psycho can't do the thing that he needs to do.
Psycho taking a little bit of damage there from the Dynamite, but a small jostle just kind of waiting for CDs at this point before they try and go in again. Problem is, though, with that, if you're Space Station, you just give Labda and Quartz so much time to set up a pick. This rush-style composition that Space Station are running, they want to go at you and they want to go at you fast. Whereas Twisted Minds, they can do that, Rose, but the longer you give them, it makes it easier for Quartz on the Ashe or the Farah to set up for a kill. Hardy does end up charging down to that mega health pack, but this is free ult charge for the Farah.
And it's free progress for Twisted Minds. They already captured the point. Backbone went down so early, so this is already a lead that Twisted Minds is going to be accumulating. They're also going to have another pick onto Backbone.
Quartz is behind them right now, needs some serious support. They do end up trading. Psycho in a little bit of trouble. Focused down by Labda in that corner. Those rockets, they are hitting hard from that Farah. Barrage available too from Twisted Minds. And like you said, oh, Funny Astro trying to do the escape roll like that.
Works a little bit less well on the Juno there, but yeah, I mean, this is going to be such an early barrage here from Labda. Already built up, didn't even need to use it in that last fight, but now you get a chance to pair it with something like the Cage. TVNT is also going to have that ready to go. So this is going to be a really difficult fight for Space Station to win. Take a look at this Juno ult as well. The orbital array is going to help out a ton for Twisted Minds to be able to get in.
She backbone in the back line already, spotted out. Still got the Wraith form if he needs it, and he does. I've taken a lot of damage as well on the front line. Lit ablaze there by Hardy. 70% of building for Twisted Minds. A lot of ultimates coming up now. Orbital Ray comes in, a copy from a Psycho on to the Mauga, and TVNT is already dead. Barrage from the high ground. Gonna have to come up with more than just one. He's gonna need to find something here. Backbone TP's away, but Quartz still finding kills. A bomb thrown in, and here's the Cage. A late one from Hardy. Space Station, and Hardy looking what just happened. Twisted Minds are still in this fight as Bliss takes down Backbone, and they're unable to flip.
Yeah, the Bob just put so much pressure and stoppage on Hardy being able to actually access this point, and Twisted Minds, they're just a couple percentage away from being able to take this first round.
We do get that OT as the rally comes in. Hardy's already pretty low, and a good bash by Bliss. A multi-man stun there in the front line should be enough to seal the deal for Twisted Minds. Easy kills. That early rally there from Landon bashed in, right? Tried to look for a stun, tried to look for something, and Bliss, well, you're out in the open, buddy. An easy 100-0 there for Twisted Minds as they take the first round.
Twisted Minds looked very dominant on that first round. I know sometimes you take a look at Control and you go, well, you know, maybe it is the outlier in terms of the different map types that we have, but this is going to be something that Space Station have to crack. This Osh, this Pharah, it's so complicated when you're taking a look at just how much burst damage they can do, especially with the changes that got made to Ashe. Anything that's on fire is going to have even more damage amp applied from the Ashe doing more DPS.
Now, assuming Twisted Minds are kind of gonna run the same thing. Should be more beneficial here for Space Station in their style of comp, or what you could call just the meta comp at this point, with the Echo and the Reaper. There it is, okay, high ground control. It's where Space Station want to be, but again, giving Twisted Minds too much time, it's gonna be worse for them in the long run. Quartz and Lambda, I mean, at the end of the day, you're poking people down. It only takes a headshot on a rocket to take out one of the supports or DPS, and you can see now Space Station trying to make a move.
It's so difficult to access this Pharah. Look at Funny Astro's already going to die here, and so there's not even going to be a great way for Space Station to actually speed in and take control of this brawl.
Yeah, I mean, space created from Space Station initially. They tried to wrap around into that mini. Astro just caught off guard completely. As Twisted Minds, again, take this point with ease.
And so now how do you approach this? Because you've got two different corridors that are going to be locked down by the Ashe, one by the Pharah, and you're just going to take so much damage as you enter in. Funny Astro is already going to have his shield chunk down.
He ends up backing up all the way. Quartz taking a lot of damage. Good sticky connections there from Psycho. Now again, Space Station trying to claim space, getting on the point. Twisted Minds will be there for the contest. And here comes the damage. Quartz is in such a nice little firing line here. Both of those speed rings being popped too to give the tanks a little bit of extra mobility as Space Station end up capping the point. But first up, it's going to be MCD rocking that orbital ray. And because Astro went down so early on, not going to have his online. So an easy flip for Twisted Minds.
Really great disengage from Twisted Minds as well. Allows Space Station to walk in, take that space back with that orbital ray. Space Station haven't had enough of this. They need something to be able to get to this Pharah. So it's going to be Backbone switching over to the Genji. This Reaper just wasn't working out. If you're not able to actually get into the front line of Twisted Minds, then this Reaper isn't actually able to get its damage down into this Mauga.
A little bit more tricky. Look at the heals coming in on Quartz right now. Copy onto the Mauga, 2 Maugas for Space Stations. They march onto the point. Doesn't look like Quartz want any of this fight whatsoever. Deploys the blob, pulls down the hole, takes the mega health back, and basically leaves the entire fight in the front line. 3Ks there for Psycho, and a rally is going to get popped by Twisted Minds. Space Station with the cap on the point. Double rally, there's the barrage in the back line. Yeah, hit him where it hurts. Space Station didn't see that one. And Twisted Minds just rolling over them.
They didn't even need a cage to do that either. Just stick him in a corner and Labda's gonna be able to finish up the job. Hottie has a cage though to match that of TVNT's, but there's nothing else to be able to pair with this. Backbone wants to be able to have this blade to at least have some type of combo potential with this cage, but I feel like outside of that, you're just lacking in the damage output that Twisted Minds has with this Pharah and this Ashe.
Orbital Ray available from MCD as well at 15%. I mean, Twisted Minds is set up for success here. Very few avenues for Space Station to really come back. I mean, a kill onto MCD will be perfect. Backbone unable to get it. Double cage comes in. Cardiac overdrive there for Hardy to keep himself alive and well in the front line. Both cages killed there eventually, as Labda and Quartz are going super low. Eventually the Rays are going to come in and MCD has to do a 180, but Quartz is already dead. Backbone has found his mark already. Dashes away to the Mega Health Pack down below. Space Station control the point. Twisted Minds losing players thick and fast, but can they come up with any exit kills to make it a little bit more punishing for Space Station staying in this fight any longer? Doesn't look like it, as Hardy chases down MCD.
Really, really big win here for Space Station as they get a chance to do that pretty economically. Just the cage expended in that fight, meaning that they're going to have that orbital ray advantage. They still get a chance to use Backbone's Genji Blade in this next fight as well, and this could be last fight. So Space Station, they have to throw everything at this one, and they're also going to have to play around this Bob from Quartz.
Blade, Orbital Ray, they got the Duke, Rally.
They have so much for this fight. It should be theirs to win.
That would have been a good kill. Backbone pops the deflect pretty early. Quartz joining the rest of the team now as they turn their attention towards this left-hand door, but look who's skulking on the side. Hardy now dashing back to the point, giving them a little bit of a space, but did cost them a couple of abilities, but now it's Space Station's chance to leap in. Bob deployed as the copy comes through. Not going to get too much ult charge for any there. Initially for Psycho, trying to build up towards that free cage, but here comes the Orbital Ray. Psycho's already claimed 2, and Space Station, an overwhelming ult advantage. Going to charge on through Twisted Minds. Bliss and MCD just getting annihilated there in the front lines by Psycho. Just too much damage. Ferocity of Space Station Gaming, seeing him through that round.
Tying up the first map that we have in the series so far are going to have to be settled on round 3. And it feels like Space Station finally got a handle of how to deal with this Ashe and this Pharah. But it's still not over yet. I feel like this is where it's going to get really tough because we're going back over to a round where Ashe and Pharah can be pretty dominant Gardens.
I mean, this is almost perfect, right? You get point first, of course. Set Quartz up on high ground, Dynamite as they come through the choke. Easy peasy, you'd think. See if Space Station can do anything about it. Of course, they swapped in, like you mentioned, to Genji, like halfway through there. Seems to be working out so far. Doesn't quite manage to get on the Pharah right, but it's a good tool at kind of dealing with Quartz, forcing CDs, especially that coach gun, which is so valuable.
Also really good at being able to mark down MCD on this Juno as well. Very squishy hero. Once you get that healing and that mobility out of the way, it's much easier for Space Station to take that speed advantage for themselves. You see the Ashe and the Pharah once again here for Twisted Minds as they're getting ready. They're trying to set up this Pharah on the high ground with this Ashe.
Twisted Minds not taking this right-hand route here. Just taking main for the time being. MCD making the call to push in. TVNT just hugging this middle pillar. Abdo with some good damage down initially there, but has to retreat to the rest of his team. You can see how much healing MCD has done already. Focus fire now onto the brick, landed, overextending, but looks like it was a bait. Hook, line, and stinker there, instantly taken down. Was TVNT and Labda, who went for the kill. And there is Space Station capping first. Okay, a little bit more confidence now in the team.
This is the Space Station now we know that's been able to get the better of Twisted Minds 5 times in a row now leading up to this point. They just got to play aggressive. They've got to play more confidently. We're going to see Psycho almost already do a duplicate for this next fight. So that's how you know that Psycho's been able to put the hurt down onto TVNT and the focus fire.
Duke Mauga, run in. You Cardiac overdrive first. I Kodiak overdrive second. And then we win. Surely. Looks like Psycho is actually on the backline right now. Look at that. A small little flank. Funny Astro dodging IRL there to make sure he doesn't get hit. Space Station Gaming needs to pay attention to Hardy. He's going pretty low. Retreat. The sanctity of that room is Twisted Minds using that orbital ray. Astro is 1% off. Needs this ultimate. And Twisted Minds need to get a kill. Psycho does end up going down first here as Twisted Minds cap the point, but Space Station just springboarding back in. Lays down the cage too. Focus fire now onto TVNT. Here comes the barrage, but reflected right back at you. Labda eating some of his own medicine there. Good play from Backbone, and they saved ults for the next fight.
That was really big there, just using the orbital ray in the cage. They did have to expend the rally though, just as an insurance policy, make sure that they can actually take this back, but this is huge to have the duplicate, to have this blade as well. That's gonna be the tech that you need in order to actually burst through this front line of Twisted Minds. Gotta deal with this cage though from TVNT. That's where things could start to get really dicey, and they have to sustain from the rally.
Blade, dupe. Backbone looking like he's going on a small flank. Couple of shurikens. Blade's available. Pretty low is Bliss already. Tries to go for the flail. Backbone's already used all his CDs. Has to play a little bit more safe. Hardy instantly like detonating in the front line there. Backbone looked like a good play initially, but couldn't quite kill Bliss. Did you make it somewhat painful? Killing the Juno, sure, but Twisted Minds still end up coming up big in that fight. There we go. 30% and building now to 79 for Space Station.
That was what Space Station wanted, though. They wanted to make sure that they were going to get one of those big ults out like that cage while keeping control of that point and accumulating more percentage. So having 79% is not so bad. Got the blade still that you were able to hold on to. So let's see what they can make of this.
Yeah, we're chilling.
Yeah, big chilling.
We're big chilling right now. Twisted Minds. Backbone again, all right, okay.
He has to take the health pack. He doesn't want to go in without that.
Yeah, doesn't want to get revealed either, of course, if you shoot across the map there as the Juno is already in. Oh!
Huge!
How does he get that kill? Quartz already down. Disaster for Twisted Minds. That's a lot of their damage already gone. Blade's been popped too. A good little bash, but he's already got the dash available. He's ready for it. Although that rally going off there pretty early from Bliss keeps everybody alive, but looks like TVNT needs to dash back straight through that orbital ray. The Twisted Minds backline there, keeping it competitive. As Space Station Gaming, they force ults with the blade, but didn't have anything to follow up. But now here's the big fight. Hardy nearing an ult, Funny Astro, Land, and Psycho the same.
I mean, Funny Astro's ultimate is the most important right now. Having the orbital ray to make sure that you can get in and engage in this next fight is going to be a huge difference maker, as long as you can actually take advantage of that. But this is going to be the last fight. If Twisted Minds win here, they win the map. So Space Station got to get back into this one with that ray.
Just keep Quartz alive on the high ground, ideally. Dynamite, big damage in the front line. There's the orbital ray, though. That Dynamite is just going to be a little brush on the shoulder, nothing more. Point flipped, actually, from Space Station, as they are just going to pinch the Twisted Minds at this high ground. Psycho slams on in! And Twisted Minds just absolutely eviscerated. Turned into luncheon meat. Cage comes in from TVNT, but I think it's a little bit too late for that, unfortunately. As Space Station going to round out Oasis in a 2-1, and they are up a map in the series.
Big Space Station win on Oasis. Really gutsy call to make this the first map of the series, knowing that Twisted Minds were able to get a big win under their belt in just the series prior. And so that's a good confidence booster to know that you figured it out. Ash and the Pharaoh were definitely a problem, but not anymore.
Yeah, time to review. Twisted Minds, very confident coming in, like you said. Against Falcons, they ended up taking it with their style of this comp. And honestly, it makes the most sense. A lot of the times when metas end up being like pure mirrors, like the Amalgameta, and what we're in right now, which is Amalgameta, you don't ideally want to kind of almost bend the knee to the meta and go, okay, we are forced to play the Echo, we're forced to play the Reaper. You've got to find your own little style sometimes, especially when you're against a team like Space Station, who is one of the best rush teams in the world. You can't match them on that mirror. So having your own little spice there from Twisted Minds has really helped them, but how can it help them now? What map do you reckon we're going to here?
Oh, that's such a tough call, because I feel like you do still want to play into the strengths of the Ashe and the Pharah, but at the same time, I do wonder if partially you want to just kind of like do the same thing to them. Like, do you play some more Symmetra? Do you actually try to play a little tricky with it when it comes down to the rush versus rush?
Coach is deliberating to see what they're going to end up playing. Let's have a little look. Some highlights before we get into the next one. I mean, Quartz, thinking back to that Falcons game as well, like, Quartz was picking off Chio a lot of the time in that series. So to get a little bit of work done, but Space Station comp, they do want to get in there. They do want to get in there thick and fast with this style. Make sure Quartz and Lambda just doesn't, they don't have time. I mean, The round that they did end up losing, of course, a little 100-0 there by Twisted Minds, definitely the best map for their comp. And now it's going to be very map dependent on how this series ends up going. Good rally timings as well from both Brigs. Can be quite tough, especially with the Juno ult. You're like, okay, I want to get in there and kind of bash people, but if we're like Juno ulting at the same time as the Brig, like you just hold shield, just want to make sure you just don't get insta-popped. Especially by someone like Psycho too. The Echo just does so much damage. Even in the neutral as well, even without the Juno. The orbital ray is rather disgusting with anybody that does big damage.
Well, I'm just thinking about the focus beam onto the Mauga. That's one of the best ways to burst down that hero, and Psycho is definitely taking good advantage of that.
The stats on your screen for you.
Wow, Twisted Minds actually did way more damage.
Yeah, that seems a little wild, honestly. Had a KDA as well. Hey, doesn't matter. If you got the map win, you got the map win. Doesn't matter about the stats. Unless you lose, and then you call gold damage. Elimination game, of course, here. Old rivals. But we mentioned at the very top. 5 series between these two teams. It's always been Space Station on top. Always has been. Well, it always will be. We'll have to wait and find out. Here's the map pool on your screens currently. It's going to be a TM pick.
Actually kind of wondering if you go Midtown here. I think Midtown, taking a look at the map pool, would be definitely one way that you can utilize the Ashe really well. I think Pharah also has some pretty good spots. Maybe just a little bit more difficult on something like Point B, but still workable. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, look, Twisted Minds, they've kind of had their map picked against Team Falcons already. I'm just getting word in as well now. Going to Hybrid, we're actually going to King's Row, picked by Twisted Minds.
Still another map that you can utilize that.
Yeah.
I was thinking Hybrid, though, makes the most sense. Taking a look at the map pool, you are looking at longer sight lines when it comes down to some of these hybrid maps, and so King's Row, definitely one way that you can play a little bit more on the Ashe.
Yeah, on the defense, right, on first, like, okay, Ashe fully in the back line, sitting in the little window, sitting on the high ground, just shooting people, and then the Pharah can just hide around the building. That comp can be a very powerful tool as well on King's Row first, because Space Station they want to get on top of you. They want to get in just kill courts. That's all they're going to do. They're just going to run to the Mega Health Pack room, they're going to run up the stairs, and they're going to try and kill the Ashe. Like, that is going to be the name of the game. And that comp could be a very powerful ability from the Pharah, just knocking Space Station down from that high ground.
Just getting everybody ready to go for this next map. There is a lot of pressure on this. I mean, just the fact that it is an elimination match means that this is your final shot. This is your one chance to make sure that you can actually keep yourself in this World Finals. First one that we're ever having here for OWCS.
I mean, it's day one and you're already in that situation, right? It's a bit scary.
Stressful.
For both of you, yeah. You traveled all this way. Of course, not too far from both teams, of course. Not as far as like how North America have traveled or some of the Korean teams as well, who have been boot camping, to be fair, in the EU and the UK. So it's been a good time seeing a lot of the players post on social media about how the food kind of sucks. I actually did get a message from, was it PG? It was somebody. They were like, is there any better food in the UK apart from spoons? And I said, not really. Luckily, I want to get a bit of crowd favorite here. Sweden's food's better, thankfully.
Sweden's food is very good.
Johnny's pumping his fist in the background.
It's been very, very good.
They love Sweden. All right, let's load on in. Map number 2. We're going to King's Row, picked by Twisted Minds. Their version of this kind of Mauga rush with the Pharah and the Ashe. Looking good for them. We'll see if they can kind of topple kind of a more standard comp here for Space Station. I like this adaptation actually from Space Station. Not having the break, have Landon on the back. His best hero for sure. Easier to kind of pick off the Pharah high in the sky and actually can kind of hang out on the high ground too. See if Twisted Minds make any adaptations themselves. I'd imagine you just kind of stick Bliss still on the Brig. No point changing that. MCD can be quite squishy and a very easy target to pack.
Backbone's going back over to the Reaper as well. As we get a pause.
Quick pause there. Yeah, I can't imagine they change at all, but we'll have to wait and see. Looks like maybe TVNT had a little bit of a problem with the monitor. Putting it perfectly in place, just making sure everything's all good to go.
I like the
Wouldn't be a Rose
Baptiste,
game without
though.
pause. I'm just saying. Or C9. You are a magnet for pauses and C9.
Don't.
Yeah, a small monitor issue here for TVNT. Because again, a lot of people have kind of sung his praises, and I think rightfully so as well. I mean, thinking about coming into the team that was a little bit disjointed after KSA left, really brought Twisted Minds back up into the forefront of people's minds, especially with the Diva meta. A very scary hero, a very different hero though, to be fair to Mauga.
TVNT has been such a huge force for Twisted Minds, and you also have to call attention to MCD and Bliss. Huge pickups for the backline now that they finally get a chance to have worked with the team a little bit longer. I think that they've looked so much better just from all of these different pieces that they've been able to slot in.
It looks like TVNT is ready and raring to go. We'll get this unpaused in just a moment. Map number 2, elimination game here in the lower bracket with Space Station taking an early lead in this first of 3. Christopher making sure he wipes the smile off Astro's face. No games here. No fun. Only winning. Here's the bracket for you, of course. NRG and ENT coming up after this match. That Crazy Raccoon and Toronto game looks pretty terrifying for Toronto, the way Crazy Raccoon were playing earlier today against NRG. Jim and Wrecking Ball, it's back. And it's here to stay.
It's very scary. Doomman's Wrecking Ball is so good. I feel like if Crazy Raccoon keep playing like that, that's definitely the team to look out for again.
All right, here we go. Map number 2, Kings Row. That brief pause. Monitor issue sorted. So we see Space Station with a small adaptation in their backline with a BAP now instead of that ring.
Yeah, so BAP's going to be able to stay pretty far back. You've got some really good sight lines to make sure that Hadi's going to get healed up. You can hit Psycho as well if you're going to have that expert aim that we know that Landon does. But it is a little bit vulnerable. This is going to be a good target for Twisted Minds, either Quartz or Labda being able to shoot down those windows. You can already see Labda looking for that opportunity to get that splash damage down onto Landon.
The AFK strat there for Backbone. Just waiting for Quartz to potentially take the high ground. Makes his presence known. Shooting the fire in the skies for about 2 damage a second.
There's a lot of damage fall off there with those Hellfire shotguns onto the Pharah.
Wow, it's hit already there for Twisted Minds too. Unable to kind of continue that presence on the point. Satisfied though, I'd imagine, with that 33%. Backbone going down to Quartz. That's the one person that can really get on top of the Ash. But Landon switching over to the back, you can see why. Labbed it down, even taking it to the Ash too. I mean, sure, why not? Quartz, oh my God, how does he keep getting away with these kills? Surely Astra kills him. He does, but at what cost? Adi and Psycho are already dead, and that's 2 ticks, and that should be the point too.
There's a little bit of survivability here on Backbone, especially when you're still going to have that BAP alive, and maybe even throw the orbital ray at this if you feel like Hadi's going to come back in time.
Oh, not quite. Maybe if you get a kill there. No, MCD gets 2. And there's Twisted Minds with the point. Oh, and a brief pause again. All good.
They're just keeping everybody in suspense, you know? Still all smiles there for that Space Station squad, despite the fact that they lost that first point. I feel like that's something that we've come to expect and just really love about this team. Always in good spirits, always having fun playing the game.
Coach Christopher there in the back lines. Hopefully getting this pause resolved in just a moment. There it is. Okay, a quick one. All right, almost 5 minutes on the clock before Twisted Minds there to get towards this second point. And, well, it's going to be an orbital ray fight. That can be for certain.
Yeah, but the Amp Matrix here from Space Station, that is one way that you can sort of push them back. Labda out of nowhere, though, is going to be able to get a big pick on a Psycho, so scratch that plan. Space Station's going to have to wait for Psycho to respawn. Or, ooh, right. Backbone.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, Landon can throw in so much damage in the front line versus someone like the Brig who can't damage the Pharah whatsoever. That free pick you got nullified pretty much. Here comes the charge though for TTNT, and there's the cage, but oh, Sayonara! Looks like Hardy just dashes straight out of there, so Twisted Minds, sure, they gain this corner here, but they do end up losing that cage in Space Station. They're gonna come back in. Here comes the bot. Instantly kill. CVNT tries around this corner. Still pretty scared though, I think both teams are. Backbone nowhere near this play, but He's all chilling. Swapped over from the Reaper just a moment ago.
I don't think you need the Blade to win this fight. Space Station have a huge advantage with this cage.
There's the Ray, there's the window, there's the barrage. Both Rays coming in. Oh, my word. Astra just run over. But through that window, Backbone, I mean, everybody from Space Station is just dishing out so much damage.
Oh,
Double amplified damage. Window, orbital ray. I mean, you're dying in fractions of a second. Not enough chance there for Bliss to use that rally, really.
Oh, I mean, it's a big deal to be able to have it for this next fight. Like, maybe it allows you to just have a couple extra seconds to deal with this Blade from Backbone.
Right.
But that is a really good positive here for Twisted Minds, but unfortunately, when you take a look at the second point of King's Row, you'd love to have more than that. And every single ultimate that Twisted Minds threw at that last fight, Space Station kited away, just had something to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, Backbone with the Blade, like you said, 10% away. This doesn't want to use this too early, ideally, but cycling these ultimates is going to be quite important. There's the rally now. Everybody getting that overhealth from Space Station. I'm going to try and get out, but it looks like some of them are trapped. They're just trying to shut this door and lock it behind him. There's Hardy, there's the kill. Okay, Space Station a little bit caught out there. You can see them trying to jostle over this point. The Blade's been popped by Backbone, but where are the kills? He dashes to the sky, but can't quite get there. TVNT 180s. Just guns down the Blade with the help of MCD. Psycho also falls to the Mauga. Pretty quick time here for Twisted Minds. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Now Quartz is going to be in a fantastic position.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Already just some quick headshots. Gonna back up because you don't want to overextend when you know that Backbone is behind. This window has really easy access to you, but the coach gun is the perfect thing. Make sure that Backbone isn't going to have that backdoor access. But Twisted Minds with so much time, like they could use ultimates now and still have enough time to generate a full Blade after that.
Yeah, they got so much time to work with. All right, Backbone eventually has cleared Quartz off the high ground, but still has to back all the way off.
Still has a Bob, too, to throw into this corner.
Speed ring, but there's the cage first from Twisted Minds. They're just trapping Hardy in this corner right now as Lannon ends up going down. Here's the return cage from Hardy, but it is not enough. The Bob, the barrage, everything thrown in, and the team kill comes through for Twisted Minds and a cap. 2 minutes and 56 seconds in the time bank for Twisted Minds.
That is so much time to work with, especially if we go into extra rounds, then that's plenty of time to actually generate ultimates. And so Twisted Minds could have a big advantage if Space Station are able to actually finish out the map come their turn now.
I mean, London's map there didn't really have as much impact as maybe they wanted.
Well, a lot of that was just Twisted Minds being able to push the tempo. They didn't really give Space Station the time to actually set up that Baptiste, didn't have a whole lot of ground to stand on when it came down to the defense. It was throwing the Bobs in there, making sure that they were able to get the big overruns from the Mauga, just forcing Space Station to have to take so many steps back every single turn.
Oh yeah, no change here from Twisted Minds. And you'd favor this comp on the defense, so we'll see how first ends up going for them. Space Station still happy to run Landon on the Baptiste, at least for now. It could change, of course. He's still in spawn, he's chilling, but double fly for Space Station would be something else, honestly. Could be a playground for Quartz, in all honesty.
I think that's where the Brig ends up being so impactful here for Quartz. You have that little shield if you want to keep that Brig and that Ashe on an off angle, then that's one way that you can actually make sure that that Ashe is going to take too much damage. But I do think that the Baptiste fares a little bit better on this offense. So if Landon does opt to stay with this, then you are going to play with a little bit more momentum with this Baptiste being able to play so much farther behind.
All right, kind of something we thought Space Station would do. Just quickly take this high ground. Speed ring across. It is. Here comes the rotation. Psycho, though, staying behind. He's got a lot of mobility. Looks like Twisted Minds now going to try for the wraparound. Psycho caught out. Lit ablaze, but the heals do end up coming through for Space Station. TVNT in a tough spot. Has to use that overrun to get away. Cardiac overdrive for Hardy. And you're in my playground now, TVNT. A quick push from there from Space Station, knowing that, well, TVNT had to use so many cooldowns early on. And Twisted Minds, I mean, look, I said that Com's pretty good on defense. Apparently not if you're getting Space Station. They're just going to literally overrun them on that first point.
Well, that was a really big aggressive push from Twisted Minds on the defense. You saw them actually wrap through the hotel, try to get onto the back line of Space Station, and it unfortunately did not work out. There was a really big sandwich coming through from Psycho that allowed them to take advantage of the fact that TVNT had actually utilized all those cooldowns and couldn't get away. So that's going to open up the point tremendously for Space Station. Over 5 minutes for them to work with this second point. No ultimates just yet, waiting for Landon to get something like that amplification matrix up, as Backbone tries to take a little bit of a cheeky wraparound.
I mean, it's good. It forces Quartz forwards. The strength about Twisted Minds comp is how far they can stand back, and then Backbone just kind of forcing Quartz's hand there. Lamp ends up coming in for Space Station to save Hardy in this small room. Look like Backbone needed a little bit more saving there. They do end up trading for MCD, so honestly, you're looking good if you're Space Station. Still, there's limited healing available now for Twisted Minds as the duplication from Psycho comes through. Wanting to beat Labda his own game on the Farah. And you can see Twisted Minds now. They are just backing off. They know they can't stay in this fight too long. And they're happy just to trade out this for an ultimate. Psycho's got a free barrage, but unlikely going to do anything with it. In fact, doesn't even pop it.
This next fight's really important, though. We need to start with this Amp Matrix, but it's going to have to be the Bob first.
Yeah, Bob, and there you go, it's Space Station. So drilled, so disciplined. And here comes the barrage, deletes the cage. It was actually a whip shot from Blister of all things that killed Hardy's cage, but here comes the charge in. Hardy going super low. Things are getting focused now. Little speed ring for MCD. Psycho still doing dirty work to the back line of Twisted Minds. Cage on the high ground now. There's nowhere to run or hide, unfortunately, if you're the rest of Space Station. 51 HP and a dream. Close to going down. He's still on fire. No way, he dies. Dice to Hardy from across the map. That is not a good look. Twisted Minds haven't got any business now staying in this fight. Quartz is going to have to make a quick rotation if he doesn't find a pick.
I wonder if Twisted Minds actually used this orbital ray just to push them back. Wait for TVNT to come through.
Quartz is just going to die. He's taking so much damage. The heal's getting pumped into him right now. Bliss even being his personal bodyguard and chauffeur there, using the shield to get him out of the way. But look at the space they've created. Both orbital rays coming in, rather far away from each other, but here comes the Death Blossom straight on top. Does end up getting bashed. A good stun there from Bliss stops the carnage from Backbone, but Labda's already dead. TVNT focused down as Psycho's duplication is going to be enough for Space Station Gaming to cap this point.
Really big early pick there for Space Station to grab. They're actually going to get the second point underneath Twisted Minds' noses as they finish up the rest of those picks and start to make their way through this third point. Over 4 minutes in the bank is still a lot of time to work with. They had to use a lot in that last fight. Backbone's actually going to be almost halfway to another one of those Death Blossoms. So nice thing to be able to pair with something like that cage from Hottie. Also have this Amp Matrix from Landon to make sure that you can actually try to work up to those ultimates very quickly here.
Bob on the point, now in the cage. Going to provide a little bit of backup for TVNT, but focus down. The window as well can be rather scary. Very easy to kind of take down any cage with a little bit of focus fire. And Landon's big strength as well, just controlling this high ground as the BAP is going to maybe make Quartz think twice about taking his own high ground. Especially being coming fire from the Psycho as well, though it does take a little bit too much. There you go, all right. Healed up by Landon.
Those high grounds are going to be so important. Look at Labda as well, trying to get a wrap with this barrage. Nothing really to save that.
Yeah, you got barrage, cage, orbital ray coming up. Space Station got orbital ray of their own. Landon going pretty low there, you can see in the top left.
They're just waiting for an opportunity to use this barrage. Twisted Minds have the perfect setup.
Oh, here it comes. Barrage straight on top of this cage. Pretty safe, ends up deleting the lamp, but there's the cage already down. Both orbital rays have been used as Hardy jumps to the back line. Trading places here, trying to make most of the use of the orbital ray. And Quartz does his best. Oh, and his best is always world class. Funny Astro and Psycho end up falling. Backbone still on the point though, as Quartz finds yet another kill onto Landon. Twisted Minds, their defense looking stellar so far.
There was a little bit of a quick swap over to the D.Va just to get out of spawn, but knowing that Twisted Minds are able to dig their heels into the stand, TVNT gets a chance to switch back over to the Mauga. But Space Station now, Death Blossom, Duplicate, they've got this Amp Matrix again. They have so much firepower, but they've got to get past this poke of this Ashe and this Farah first so they can let those ults rip.
Perfect pick there. from Space Station. You can literally just ult dump at this point. Psycho's already in the back line. Cardiac Overdrive has been popped. And oh, Backbone. It's going to make it hurt. Ult dump. Press Q, equal win, and there it is. Space Station. Going to cap the map with time. 1 minute and 51 seconds in that time bank.
Going extra rounds. We would expect nothing less out of a lower bracket match between these two teams. They've had so much familiarity against each other, and it's been such a treat to watch them in the EMEA stages.
Initiating match.
All right, extra rounds, and Space Station are definitely just going to stick with the same comp here, I'd imagine. Just stick Landon on the bat. Just another added threat. Not that Brig isn't, especially when she has Rally, but Landon's damage output is nothing to scoff at, plus the window as well.
He's just different with it, honestly.
Yeah, he is. One of the best baps we have, for sure.
No secret why Baptiste is one of Landon's best heroes and vice versa. And I kind of wonder, though, how you actually get it set up on the defense when we actually get to that point. But I think on the attack, it works even better. Having the Amp Matrix to create that space alongside something like that Orbital Ray, Space Station were so good at making sure that those ultimates were staggered so that you would always have something to be able to press forward with.
Okay, I mean, Space Station, last time they managed to kind of deconstruct the defense for Twisted Minds was just wrapping and forcing Twisted Minds push through Hotel and swapping sides, and then Hardy taking control of TVNT's kind of area, and hey, you've got no overrun, you've got no cardiac overdrive, you're going to die pretty quickly. It's tough for the Valkyries to stay in these comps, especially with the amount of Space Station
Can you do
they
it?
have. There's just no way. No one's going to fall for that.
You gotta at least try. You gotta at least try
100%,
with the Widowmaker. But it goes back over to the Reaper. The Reaper was a really good hero to make sure that you could actually check down that Mauga. But you're still gonna have trouble with something like that Ashe and that Pharah getting access there.
All right, slightly different approach.
Twisted Minds aren't going to make the same mistake twice of going through aggressively in that Hotel. They don't want to give that onus to Space Station to wrap them.
Oh, he's like an aimbot on that hero. It's kind of crazy. All right, here's the wraparound here for Twisted Minds. Once again, just kind of forcing this situation. Hardy's in the corner, though. Needs some help. Lab deployed. The Labs is already dead. Quartz can't really get into this fight either. He's doing a little bit of damage, but a little bit isn't enough. You need more. Hardy does end up falling, but Psycho and Backbone. Clean work. Gives her couple of 6, and well, Twisted Minds are going to lose that point. Getting that big wraparound. Twisted Minds, that's the second time around. They swap places with Space Station, just getting run over.
They did not learn from that first mistake, apparently. Ends up happening again, but this is kind of the big issue with Space Station's time bank. They've got 30 seconds now. Twisted Minds fell so fast that they're able to actually have this forward hold on the defense by this bookshop. Looking at the Bob, looking at the Rally, maybe even the Orbital Ray, but Space Station first off the bat here with this Amp Matrix. They just can't get that space for the Bob from Quartz. Space Station has so many other ultimates to work with too. This is gonna be a big fight.
Oh, a very early Bob. And Orbital Ray coming in. Astro's gonna match it. Here comes the Lamp for a little bit of a reprieve, but I'm not sure it's gonna last too long. You're firing through the window. You got the Orbital Ray. It's enough damage to single battleship. Twisted Minds run over, and look at the ultimates they expended as well. Bob, Barrage, Orbital Ray. This Cage and this Death Blossom could be the nail in the coffin for this second point, but we are in OT.
We're gonna see Quartz actually switch over to the Cassidy. So that's gonna be a different hit scan here. We've seen from Quartz also be able to put up big numbers with this particular hero, but this Rally from Bliss is gonna have to put in a lot of work for this versus this Cage and Death Blossom.
Backbone's around this corner. Does Quartz know? Oh, the solo Death Blossom. Ambitious. Almost took him out, though. Putting the fear in Twisted Minds right now as the Cage comes in, as well as that Rally. It's going to be hard for Backbone to do much damage, to be honest, and actually retreats from the rest of the fight as Quartz and MCD behind this giant plasma screen TV are just going to clean up. They do end up getting that point, but overtime will deplete. 5-3, Space Station's run ends there, but they're going to be happy with that, and you can tell smiles on their faces all around.
I mean, the fact that they were able to capture that second point is huge. That's a big lead. Something that's going to be very difficult here for Twisted Minds to match, because you need so much firepower to be able to get past that second point, actually activate that checkpoint, and Twisted Minds does have a lot of time to work with, but it's still going to be difficult.
Now, how are they going to deal with Landon on the back? That is the question.
Run at it.
A rather, yeah, I mean, that's true. A rather easy affair for Twisted Minds on their first attack, it seems. I mean, you look at that time back, you're super happy with it. 3 minutes almost going into second round.
How's it going?
But King's Row can really just be a slugfest, and especially as a hybrid game mode, it's like, okay, you take first point, then you have maybe one try getting it to second, especially with how the ults end up working out. These orbital rays have to be perfect. Cannot afford any mistakes, cannot go down 2-0. Twisted Minds not quite teetering on a knife's edge just yet. Still got a couple of chances to get back in this, but Space Station really sending a message on that first map out of Oasis. Gates are unlocking. It's Twisted Minds rocking out with the same thing.
5, 4, 3.
This has been their composition. This is the comp that Twisted Minds have to get this work done with. As they open up the gates, it's going to be Quartz and Labda again on their signature heroes. But having to play around this hotel, having to play around this Wandata statue, and finding some way to be able to walk onto Landon. We saw Labda last time spamming those rockets down into those windows to see if you can just push Landon back, and it did work. They were able to capture this first point pretty quickly, and in fact might almost be able to get away with a point here already.
TVNT taking a lot of damage though. See Backbone doing the same thing, just kind of chilling on the sidelines, making Twisted Minds think twice. There's a tick. All right, TVNT rushing back to the team, try and get healed. Good lamp, saves 20 Astros. Something you don't really see every day, that Reaper killing a Pharah. Bliss is going to burn to death, not quite. MCD haven't used those a shift to get the brick back up to full. Getting an LOS of Bliss there, almost went down, could have been disastrous, but with only 2 minutes left, Twisted Minds need that 66% to get that payload going, but Space Station not giving him any time to think.
No time at all. I mean, you already have whittled away so much of that time bank. You got some big speed into the back of this point, but wait for the clapback. Landon wants his amplification matrix up ASAP, but MCD's gonna have the orbital
What's up, Hardy?
first.
And Landon as well. Hardy and Landon look like they went for a large flank there. Landon does end up falling. As Psycho spots Quartz lacking a little bit near Hotel. 2 ticks on the board for Twisted Minds. But is that all they're gonna get?
They have so many ults for this next fight. I mean, MCD just barely missed out on the opportunity to use the orbital ray, but that means they have it for this next fight. You have the cage from TVNT. There's a but Space Station now, if you give them too much time to work with, they're going to have a lot of ultimates too.
Orbital ray, cage, like you said. Copy coming in from Psycho as well at 10%. Bob's been deployed, but it looked like Twisted Minds, they'd already decided to leave that fight, but Psycho goes down to the Bob of all things. Quartz is actually just in the back. I mean, that's first point. What a shot there onto Landon too. Quartz single-handedly taking the game into his hands. On what looked to be a Space Station hold there is now turned into a rather tricky defense for Space Station.
I mean, they still have 2 attempts at this though. With 35 seconds left, if they lose this next one, then it is going to be an overtime. But for Space Station now, the trick is don't use everything that you've got unless you see a clear win condition. They have a lot to work with. Almost everything. Backbone's going to be very quick up to this Death Blossom as well. But Twisted Minds took a very economical fight, so they have a lot of things to be able to react with.
Psycho's just going to go in. Super hard and fast there for Space Station. Can he get a free cage? Receives that lamp, stays alive for a moment there. Close to a free cage, doesn't quite get in time. Orbital Ray comes in for MCD. Astro not deploying his just yet. They've already lost Psycho, so potentially just waiting for Twisted Minds to use ult. Just bait that one out. Ult dump for next.
Well, you did get the cage out, and you did get the orbital ray, so now you're just looking at having to deal with the rally and the barrage if you are a Space Station fan, with 4 ultimates in the bank. Twisted Minds now in overtime cannot leave this cart, so you've got to leave Bliss on the payload duty. That's going to be rough here. If you take this early fight, maybe Twisted Minds can actually push them back, but Space Station have Backbone. They can teleport onto this payload and force Twisted Minds to turn around.
Oh. Backbone sniffing out Quartz. Potentially Twisted Minds there, setting up for something. Do not get picked challenge for Twisted Minds. TP into the back line. And here comes the orbital ray, the cage in the front line as well, but Psycho's already dead. That barrage is doing an immense amount of damage. Landon and Hardy focusing down Labda, but Quartz is still burning the front line. Hardy can just jostle this point. Backbone 2, the sustain is immense here for Space Station Gaming. Psycho jumping over the Tracer, but it might be too little too late as TVNT takes down the Reaper in the end. Bliss just swinging in the front line. No fear in this man's eyes right now. 4 meters to go. A space station of receiving backup.
TVNT is going to have Cage very shortly.
Cage available as TVNT secures another kill. Funny Extra ends up going down, and that should just be it. Twisted Minds pushing on to victory. That blue box, oh, it's theirs. Twisted Minds tie the map, or the series. Oh, it's not finished. We got point 3, and there it is. Twisted Minds coming up with a map win to tie the series.
A little bit of a short delay there. But we kind of knew what was coming.
You have to wait for that barricade to come down, and then you got the win. There it is, TVNT at the very end, staying alive that entire time. The sustain from Space Station's comp. They had Astro alive, Backbone, they had Hardy up too. TVNT with good focus fire, got the cage, like you said. It's hard to fight that in OT, especially as you're coming back with faster heroes.
You know you have to just walk right into that ultimate, and that's where you're going to be a sitting duck. So fantastic stuff there from Twisted Minds to be able to tie up the series. You can see the coaches deliberating though in terms of what to do next, because it is going to be Space Station's map pick. And you have to think strategically about this. Because it's first to 3, you have a lot more maps you have to get through in order to actually take this match win. And you want to, again, think about what is going to be the best in the map pool to deny out of this Ashe and Pharah comp.
Yeah, nothing like Circa. We're not going to any kind of map like that. I can imagine Landon too. I mean, probably not jumping on the brig anytime soon either. Pretty close affair with a hero plate from TVNT to keep them in it. Where are we going to go? Any kind of flashpoint map as well would be pretty decent for Space Station. Probably New Junk City if I had to guess.
Just gives the Pharah way less time to actually set up.
Same with Quartz too. Pretty fast game mode. As Twisted Minds' comp, their idea of the Miller is a little bit different to everybody else's. Wants to play things a tad slower. Some of these ultimates. Whenever he hits Q, it's a light show. And I think he's had his time in the sun a lot of the time. I mean, Quartz, an unbelievable hit scan, but that first point just took over the game. Went straight to the back, hit the Bob, and Bob with the bodyguard for Quartz. Didn't need anybody else really to help him out.
Quartz is just such a huge carry player. I feel like every single time we have the camera on him, he's always just headshot after headshot after headshot. It's certainly one of the big reasons why Twisted Minds is able to put up ginormous damage numbers like that.
Oh, 85, almost 86,000 damage is insane. The deaths too, I mean, very scrappy. Although to go to extra rounds, you expect a little bit more deaths, but... And in these comps too, where team kills are very likely, just how powerful the Juno ults are. We've seen a lot of times as well where Juno ult and then one person survives because it's kind of ridiculous amount of damage that could be amped up. All right, Space Station end up picking Shambali Monastery is our escort map.
I mean, Shambali Monastery is one of those big maps we look at for Brawl. Even most of the time when we've seen something like Ramatra or Orisa, still Malco can work. I mean, Space Station are very, very good at the Brawl.
Yeah, exactly that. Doesn't really bode well, I'd imagine, for Twisted Minds, especially playing the Ashe.
But I do like this map more because of the Baptiste. That's certainly something that Space Station can continue to lean upon. Landon looked very good on that hero. I loved the use of the immortality fields, as even not necessarily ways to deal with those big ultimates because of how short that cooldown can last, but more so because maybe you're able to keep someone alive, like Backbone that's on the flank. You can throw that over to make sure that you're going to be able to keep Hadi alive as well in the front line. Definitely set that up behind those walls.
All right, Shambali Monastery, third map in the series, this lower bracket game. Loser goes home, winner will advance. It's a tough upper bracket, not really any teams you want to face up there. I mean, Crazy Raccoon, Team Falcons. Are they going to lose in the upper bracket? I think that's a question on everybody's lips right now. Could lose to each other, I suppose.
I don't know about that one.
You never. All right. Any adaptations, I wonder, for Twisted Minds. Doesn't look like it. I saw a quick hover of the Venture, but
This is what they're the most
used.
practiced on.
Right.
This is just the comp. I don't see Twisted Minds ever deviating from this plan unless something has gone absolutely terribly wrong. So you're going to see them come out on the defense with that, already get this set up. Space Station have chosen to attack. So let's see what they've got. I do not think we're going to see this in Nada.
Nah, but you can. There's a little bench you can hold in spawn, and you can shoot through the door.
Yeah,
and it's
you
like
charge it up.
It's
I
a
know.
There's a pixel angle. Yeah, there you go. You can see Astro doing it. There's a pixel angle to get onto the high ground, but he doesn't know that Twisted Minds are actually all on low. So worth the attempt though. There it is. Fires it off. So it's just Juno, all good.
Backbone goes back over to the Reaper. So maybe we actually do get a chance to see Backbone switch over to something like the Genji. But look at how this teleport behind the team goes very well to just kind of sniff them out of that hiding place.
Buddy there spotting Bliss out of position. Bliss using that bash to get away from the Mauga. No surprise what we're seeing here. Obviously the spawn hold so good with this comp. Oh, Backbone going down too. Not a great start, not a great look for Space Station.
Oh, this is...
Oh, good conk actually. Can't quite get Astro though. Knocked him away from the spawn door. Could have resulted in a kill.
But you've already done so much damage. I mean, Quartz is almost going to have a Bob all ready to go for this next fight. Just got to keep him at the spawn doors.
Yeah, he's already got ult, but that does mean Astro's almost got ult as well. 10%
yeah.
away from the orbital ray because of the amount of damage that Quartz has done.
He's done so much healing. Lin is actually almost going to have an amp matrix for this one too, just to stall out the fight a little bit longer. You get both of those ults online.
Definitely a lot more healing as well with the without the brick. All right, Artie takes down a Raptor. Twisted Minds is just going to stay here for as long as possible. Even going to invest ultimates. Looks like that Bob being utilized in A. MCD peeks the corner, even though Landon used that window. Those pulsar torpedoes connecting with his mark. Now Bliss is even in there as well. Trying to get a little bit messy. Here's the cage. Can Space Station actually crack this defense? Looks like it. There it is. Okay, eventually. Did take the use of the cage though. 2 minutes to go. I mean, that's a heck of a spawn hold from Twisted Minds.
And so economical. All they used was the Bob. Labda's still going to have this barrage coming up very shortly and 3 other ultimates behind that for Twisted Minds to be able to keep this defense. So, you know, Space Station kind of have to play around that. Don't want to fall to the cage. They need to figure out how to actually overlap these orbital rays as well. Backbone's trying to take another flank with his Death Blossom, but Labda knows. Labda knows is right there.
Here comes the cage. Both rays coming in as well. The barrage from the high ground. Oh, Labda's in such a perfect spot. Twisted Space Station Gaming would have had to peek to the corner there to try and kill the Farah.
Pull your own weight next time.
Team kill, 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. Space Station just getting kind of rolled over right now. These cage fights for Twisted Minds, when they end up using the barrage, yeah, sure, there's a lot of healing. You can deploy the lamp, but the lamp is getting instantly deleted.
And this Death Blossom is going to be really difficult to actually weave in. You think about the fact that you've got range from Quartz and Labda, but you also have that shield bash from Bliss. One really good way to just be able to deal with this Reaper Death Blossom immediately is just stun it out. So that might not be enough to actually get Space Station over this first checkpoint line. They're going to have to find something else special with this next fight.
Backbone, sneaky beaky like, TPs to the other side of the map. Quartz almost had his head ripped off there by Backbone, but here comes the rally. Nice little bash there onto the Reaper. Gets the lamp though. Oh, not quite. Not quite. That rally deploying that overhealth plus the bash plus the shield. Not really where you want to be if you're Backbone. And Space Station losing their tank too. I mean, Twisted Minds they might just full hold this. There's only 30 seconds to go. And Backbone is switched over. Something rather unconventional. Okay, went to the Soj, now to the Tracer.
Thought about the Soldier maybe to be able to just get a quick rail gun shot, but thinks better of it. Goes over to the Tracer for this last-ditch effort. Space Station have to approach this cart and then hope this Bob doesn't push them back enough or this Labda Pharaoh Barrage doesn't finish him off.
Quartz just up to the same old business, trying to go for a flank kill. Window for Landon. It's going to keep people alive on the payload. And lucky for Space Station, it's on that corner, so they can jostle LOS against Twisted Minds right now. Not too much of a fear of C90.
Someone has to, right?
But you can't poke your head out either.
Right. That's going to be the big problem. Hardy has to be the one to move forward. There's the duplication. Double cage. Orbital rays coming in as well. The barrage from high in the sky, but Backbone ends up killing Labda with a melee of all things. Pulsar torpedoes from Funny Astro. Connect with their Marcus TVNT. Still on a killing spree as he takes down Psycho. Twisted Minds now flipping the map on Space Station. Pulse Bomb on the point. Doing negative damage there for Space Station, as though Twisted Minds, they need to kind of stay alive on this point. Spawn advantage in favor of them for sure, as they do end up just barreling forward with this rally. And with Funny Astro dead, that's going to be all she wrote for Space Station, I'd imagine. As Labda and Quartz end up finishing off the rest, as they get a hold before that. Like last corner on first, that is an insane position to be in. If you're at Twisted Minds right now, smiles almost wiped from the faces of Space Station. Rather jovial when we come to the cameras, but that is an awkward spot to be held right on that corner.
That spot's very difficult. It forces Space Station's hand to have to get that close hold first, and then barrel back to the defense if you do end up getting wiped. Because that was such a long hold for Twisted Minds to have had on that first corner as well, right by spawn. That was 2 minutes that Twisted Minds were able to hold that. And then they just cycled through those ultimates at the very end there to get the full hold. Now, it's not impossible. We have seen fuller holds on this map. That's what Shambali Monastery is famous for. Either you get the full hold on first, or you go all the way to the third point. So it's very possible that Space Station are able to actually get the full hold here, but you take a look at Landon having to make a switch over to the Brigitte. Are Space Station feeling confident enough in this pick to be able to accomplish that goal?
And then Backbone on the Sojourn too. So not happy with the Reaper performance, perhaps. A bit more of a threat to Quartz as well. That's Sojourn.
But this isn't a hero that we see Backbone play very frequently, so you know that Space Station are feeling a little bit uncomfortable with a pick like this. Usually you would see Backbone maybe switch over to the Genji before you would see something like this Sojourn, and the Sojourn is a little bit vulnerable. Of course, it's going to see that and be like, okay, you know what? Ash still very happy to run this hero back.
We'll see how Backbone stands up against Quartz.
Even with a hero like this too, Space Station aren't taking this forward position. They're going to have to play around this corner in this building.
It's going to be fairly easy to charge rails, though, to be fair, if you're Backbone as well. No shield.
But look at how far this card has moved already.
Oh, good. Good boop! Unbelievable boop by Labda. Backbone down to low ground, tried to hit the slide, and ends up booping his little head on that door frame. Oh, and Astro conked. They gotta save the Juno. Astro narrowly escaping death. Backbone now on the Tracer to try and get back. Hardy's gonna be able to contest the payload from this angle, but this is one fight. Hardy cannot afford to go down, but it's too little too late. Landon Hardy dead, and that's it. No way you're coming back into this one. Although the DPS and Twisted Minds do suffer a similar fate. But it is Twisted Minds with a map win, putting themselves on match point with a full hold, and then just running it down on a Space Station gaming map pick.
This was a difficult map. I mean, Twisted Minds made that look really easy on the defense. Full hold, able to speed run their turn on Shambali Monastery. And now if you're Space Station fan, you gotta wonder, where do we actually go that they can get the upper hand? What do we have left? We've got Flashpoint. We've got a push potential.
Flash as well.
Two map types, to be fair, that Brawl is very, very good at. So maybe you say, okay, we hedge our bets right now, picking Escort, taking the onus out of Twisted Minds' hands, and then we go in a little bit more confident on these maps that we know Chaos and Brawl reign supreme.
Space Station now, their last lifeline in this tournament. Twisted Minds on the verge of just knocking them out. I think everybody favoring Space Station Gaming in this meta. Take a look at some of the highlights from that rather short map. I mean, this hold on the spawn was just also ridiculous. They got down to 2 minutes and 15 seconds really there before they got the payload going. Shows you how powerful and how strong these comps are as well at full holding. The amount of span damage that comes in from the fire, from the dynamites as well. And Labda just unimpeded. He's chilling. I mean, sure, you got to worry about the Sojourn rail. But like you mentioned, Landon swapped off the bat. One less threat there on the board for the Pharah player.
Way less damage hitting you in the skies. You don't have that immortality field either, and so you feel so much more comfortable if you are on that Pharah for Labda. And look at this. I mean, Spacestation did a ton of damage, but it's not about the damage dealt, it's about the damage efficiency. And Twisted Minds had that in spades, being able to get those first picks constantly and making sure that they were going to have the better economy in terms of ultimates as well. Good conversion.
That doesn't look quite right. 9-24, but I trust the numbers on the screen. Yeah, Twisted Minds now again have to deal with this.
There we go. Okay. I was like, wait a minute.
So SSG dying 24 times and Twisted Minds dying 9 times. Okay, 2.7 to 0.4 KD, a very one-sided map. All right, I mean, Flashpoint that makes the most sense, again, to me. There we go. New Junk City, no Sorobasa. New Junk City getting up close and personal in Junk Queen's hometown.
I still think this is the smartest pick for Space Station. Like, you get Escort out of the way. I think at this point, you're like, okay, Escort Hybrid, those were washes. Twisted Minds, especially with that poke damage, is going to have the better time. But now it's like, you have Flashpoint, you also have Clash. You know that you're going to be better suited on those maps. So hopefully this is where Space Station can actually get the job done.
Yeah, and take us to that map number 5 as well.
Gotta lock in though, because one more map win, Twisted Minds get a chance to continue on in this series. This is the loser go home for real in the World Finals.
New Junk City, a potential decider picked by Space Station Gaming. We go on to push or clash as our final map, if we end up going there. Okay, now question is, what does Backbone got? Can just go on the Genji once again like he did, opened it up in on Oasis. I don't imagine we're seeing Sojourn. I think that was kind of more of a desperation pick for Backbone. Looks like it's going to be the Genji, at least for now.
The Genji makes the most sense though. We take a look at how Backbone was able to help get that map win on Oasis, and you say Genji was great, gives you access to the Pharah. You got the deflect. We saw a couple of really cool deflect kills onto Labda and Quartz from that hero. And so this is going to be what they roll out with as the gates open up. We see a quick teleporter there from Quartz on the Symmetra. And in fact, Quartz stays. It's going to be the Sim. Wow. Sim tech really big here for Twisted Minds.
Kind of baked in their blood, I feel like.
Well, you can't deflect that.
Right, yeah, you can't deflect that. And this is how they won the stage 1 as well. Was the Sim just TPing the Malca comps around. Different tank, of course, but Hardy is going to have a real hard time against this Symmetra. And the Genji as well. Like, looks like Space Station are staying. There's the first cap. Twisted Minds in control.
And you saw Quartz just smiling about that. He's like, yeah, I'm feeling it. This is the hero. This could be the potential finishing blow on the Space Station. But, you know, Space Station have a lot of experience being able to play against as well as with the Symmetra. So they know a lot of the different ways that Symmetra is going to be useful on these types of maps. Maybe play around that a little bit more. You can see them already getting out of the way of those turrets as Backbone tries to take the leap around to get them out of the skies.
There's possible torpedoes there from MCD, doing a bit of damage and a bit of healing across the board. They do end up losing the Pharah. It's really mad at them. Standing tall in the front line and Twisted Minds. There's the answers from Space Station. It can't just be an ult fight. They gotta win these neutral engagements.
I mean, this might just be the first flashpoint to Twisted Minds already. Maybe you're able to go in with something like the Orbital Ray, but you have to put so much emphasis on winning this next fight with your ultimates, making sure you can actually take the economy afterwards as well. You can see Twisted Minds already trying to play forward so that Space Station don't have the access to this point.
Oh, here comes the big ult fight. Overtime triggered, and that will be a 2. A wall's going to be annoying to deal with, and look at the focus fire down on Psycho. Duplication already dealt with, and Quad just lasers him. Orbital Ray coming in for 20 Astro, but where's the team? The heals are eventually going to come through. Backbone pops the blades, but here comes the rally from Bliss. Instantly taken down by Backbone, though, as he comes up big with 2 kills. Labda with a Sky Rocket as a Backbone, you know, dashed up, tried to get the slash and dash onto the Pharah, but it wasn't to be as Twisted Minds end up capping that first flashpoint with 3 ults to spare.
Yeah, Space Station used 4 in that last fight. That was so many tools that they had to throw at that and still didn't walk away with that team fight win. Backbone is going to switch off the Genji, go over to the Reaper. So it helps you a little bit more with those close quarters engagements. But seeing that, Quartz is already going to insta-lock the Ashe.
Definitely better for this point. It makes the most sense. Like the Symmetra and those close quarters, pop up the turrets, laser beam people. But on this one, you can hold so far back as the Ashe and even get these out angles as well without little fear. Here comes the cages, both on either side of the maps, but Twisted Minds, like we said, saved ults that last fight. They actually had that orbital ray in their back pockets in Space Station. They're going to hightail it out there, or at least try to. It's landed and picked off.
Oh, Backbone's gonna get staggered here too, potentially.
Psycho Dice and Dynamite. Oh, dearie me. The lifeline of Space Station Gaming right now. It's slowly getting whittled away by Twisted Minds. There's going to be a stagger on the Juno. Oh, not quite. Okay, Astro does get out. Saves a couple of seconds.
Twisted Minds are playing with so much confidence right now, though. They have Space Station's number. They've been able to win so many of these fights off the back of just being able to get these really big dynamites, just completely finishing up with that damage. And they still have this Fair Barrage. Barrage, Bomb, so much firepower from Twisted Minds. Space Station have not been able to get into these fights cleanly.
Here comes the Bob. Speed ring deployed. Now Bob focused. Actually pushed out of the way. Oh, full Bob. Does get healed in the end there by the pulsar torpedoes, but
Still so much time.
most importantly, yep, time. Duplication on the brig. If one brig isn't enough, maybe deploy a second one and get a free rally. Psycho jumping into the back line. It's got 50% already. Make that 80. Surely a free rally coming in. Just gets it in time. A stun, a bash onto TVNT. Forces Twisted Minds away, but they got 99%.
99% is so much to actually take from this without expending very much of anything. The Bob in that last fight, you're just stalling for time right now if you're Twisted Minds. Knowing that you're so close to this cage, you can definitely go back in with that as an engagement tool with something like the Barrage as a combo.
And now it's just an ult dump fight. But TVNT's also got this cage. Speaking of which, TVNT lays it down. Kind of looking around, where's everybody gone? Whoa, Space Station actually, they're on the point. All right, so that cage not resulting in anything, and now maybe Hardy can make a play. Orbital Rays are going to come in from both Funny Astro and MCD. TVNT getting focused down. The Barrage, kind of laying a lot of damage in, but it's actually Backbone that tries to make the play in there. Tilting his head to the side, just regretting that play potentially. Hoping now his team can kind of follow up. The Quartz already taken their air of 2. Space Station on their final limb. They've got the backline, they've got the damage to do it if Hardy's up. The Bob does end up coming in for Twisted Minds, but here comes the OT fight for Space Station as well. 99%, but Quartz's Bob comes to the rescue once again.
Hardy just got so low there, and there's so much follow-up. Twisted Minds are going to be able to cap this point, take it back control, and then we're just going to have to see if Space Station can actually come back in.
That's it.
They can't.
Another point going over to Twisted Minds. Every single player getting so animated in the cams as now Space Station are 1 point away from getting eliminated here at DreamHack Stockholm at the World Finals.
Couple of hero swaps coming through as TVNT comes down on the Diva, likely going to stick to this for this next flashpoint as Backbone going over to one of his signature picks. You've got the Mei. I take it all back. TVNT is like, you know what, never mind. It's going to be difficult to actually have that Diva function in the face of something like the Mei, but who cares if you've got a DPS like Quartz?
Another fantastic pick. All right, Psycho down, no dupe. Point's going to unlock before Psycho gets back. Space Station know it, they're backing up, they're going to give this one over to Twisted Minds. This is slipping away from them right now. Like a hedgehog on an ice rink.
This has to be so big from Psycho. Big duplicate onto something like this Mauga, get the cage.
Dupe straight to the back line, Mei Wall ends up coming up. Focusing down TVNT, that's a lot of damage and nowhere to run either. This pocket pick of Backbone. All right, okay, this is the Space Station you know and love. Flip comes in, 39% is all they'll get.
Space Station has to be flawless from this point out though. Their work is cut out for them. They have to make sure that this orbital array is clutch. Landon has the rally, which is going to be very helpful just to make sure that you can take these close quarter engagements. And Backbone's Maywall serves a couple of purposes here. Most notably, you've got that wall to be able to shut off the sidelines of Quartz and Lambda. Look at this, you're already going to force some extra time here for Space Station to work with, as Twisted Minds have to wrap around to get away from that May wall.
All right, here comes the ult dump fight. Both backlines having both Rally and the Orbital Ray. Another wall comes in, okay. Space Station now trying to set the tempo. This is what they've done best when they have Backbone in. A Blizzard available, MCD going low. Backbone throws down the Blizzard on the corner there. It's ticking away, but no one is frozen. Orbital Rays end up coming in as Psycho's down. The barrage on top as well. Backbone's got no block and nowhere to run. No help at all as Twisted Minds cap the point midway through this fight. If they can get a stagger here as well, this might just be all over for Space Station. Hardy needs to go down. Does end up taking one with him. And can he get anything more? You have to kill Hardy! The stagger's been deadly. He eventually falls though.
Hardy being able to pick up 2 picks though is huge. You forced out 2 ginormous ultimates. The barrage and the rally are now gone. And it's bought Space Station enough time to be able to come back in. Cage of their own, rally, but this is it. Jaws, this could be final fight.
Bob available, deployed on the point. Rally for Landon. Everything's pretty healthy right now on the side of Space Station. They're going to be able to get another touch. Bob's still kind of playing bodyguard on the right-hand side here as the cage gets deployed. Gonna force Quartz down onto low ground with no heals and taken out by Psycho. Overtime in session for Twisted Minds, and they're falling thick and fast as Hardy was the one to make the play.
Big picks here. Space Station able to get back control, but once again have to play flawlessly with even less room for error. There is a potential for Twisted Minds to actually come back in. They've got Quartz back on the Symmetra. They're going to teleport over to the point. They don't have any ults to work with outside of MCD maybe getting this orbital ray, but overtime is here.
MCD desperately needs this. 25 HP! Backbone with a snipe! No orbital ray available anymore. Space Station are making their stand here on this point. And there it is. A pocket pick, and a godly one at that. Backbone opens that one up and keeps Space Station in the series.
Big ultimate bank for them as well, heading over to the next flashpoint, and it's right in their back door. Being able to go over to Deduct is perfect because you are able to get this set up before Twisted Minds even are able to get to this flashpoint. Quartz is back over to the Ashe. You want to have these big picks with this Ashe and the rest of this poke damage, but Space Station are waiting at the doors. They know they've got this Blizzard, but Backbone is already forced to use the Ice Block, so you're going to have to pay a little bit of attention to whether or not you can have other cooldowns to cycle with this.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard entry. Blizzard is tough. It looks like Space Station, though, being a little bit more passive. Do end up capping the point, giving the high ground over to Twisted Minds.
High ground very important here for that Ashe and the Pharah, but not before we see Space Station actually give a little bit to try to give a little back with this Blizzard.
Orbital Ray comes in. There's the Blizzard. Can TBNT stay alive? He's in no man's land right now, but the rally, the bash, is going to help him stay up. But a counter bash comes through as Lambda tries to get the job done with the barrage, but is unable to do so. Quartz takes one with him, but that'll be it. Twisted Minds, bros, they do end up capping the point midway through the fight, and now they're just going to stall Quartz for as long as humanly possible. Don't quite get the wall. Oh, a nice stagger. Not as long as they really wanted to, wall him off for a little bit longer, but it will do. It's going to take him a little bit of time to regroup now.
Every second matters. Every flashpoint percentage matters when you know that your tournament life is on the line. Space Station, they have this cage, but that's about it right now as we take a look at this next fight. Twisted Minds having a cage of their own, have a way to be able to match that. But Quartz has this Bob very soon too. So a little bit more onus on Twisted Minds to be able to set the pace in this next fight.
Looks like Space Station want to go early. There's the cage. But Quartz finds the miracle pick yet again. Funny Astro down. A Space Station probably don't want to commit too much else to this one. A nice little counter charge as the Bob is deployed. There it is, Space Station. They end up falling, but they still got a chance. They're on 99%.
Still one more fight for Space Station to come back into this, looking at the duplicate and the Blizzard. So there is a lot of hope if you're a Space Station fan for them to see this next flashpoint through. But they've got to walk through this cage. That has been a death sentence for so many teams to walk through and could be the difference maker of Twisted Minds in winning this next fight, this flashpoint, and this map. Backbone can't get there. there.
Okay. Luckily,
Reset.
exactly. You've got one more chance now. But the slow approach is going to be the problem. The flashpoint ticks up so quickly, there's going to be a rush touch here for Space Station.
And there's an orbital ray now for MCD for them to work with. That is a huge boon to Twisted Minds when you take a look at this being the final potential fight of this map.
They're going to be out to touch by the looks of it. They're just going main. Psycho is there. Here comes the duplication. Going pretty low already. Only person on point now for Space Station Gaming is landed. And Funny Astro demolished by Twisted Minds. And the only thing they're going to do now is push up some daisies as Twisted Minds cap the flashpoint and eliminate Space Station from the World Finals.
What a comeback for Twisted Minds. They kicked off this season of OWCS so strong with a win in that very first stage of EMEA. Looked a little bit rough, but they're here proving that that one map against Team Falcons wasn't a fluke. They are a threat in this tournament, and they have their act together when it matters the most in this World Finals.
The last 5 series they played against each other, Space Station have come out on top. But not this time, not where it really matters. Twisted Minds with quite a ridiculous finish. All the hands at Quartz once again. Was really the star player for Twisted Minds, kind of always has been. The insane pickoffs on Chio in that Falcons match, and now picking off the backline with the dynamites or just the headshots. It's insane numbers the guy's been putting up. Twisted Minds will advance. Space Station Gaming knocked out of the World Finals here in DreamHack Stockholm.
Which is a pretty big upset when you take a look at things on paper. Space Station is one of those teams, not only have they been able to win stages 2 and 4 of EMEA OWCS, but they come in as a huge threat and also fan favorite. So it is definitely disappointing to see Space Station go home, but Twisted Minds really coming into this one headstrong, clear game plan, and understanding the assignment of this meta.
I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting this. We're going to jump down over to Danny for a quick interview about that series.
Jack and Rose, thank you very much. What's up, everybody? I'm joined here by Court from Twisted Minds. Huge congratulations on getting the win. And this was a very important one as well because you guys were on your last legs. You guys didn't get eliminated. You guys are moving forward to your next match. I want to ask you about this match specifically because it was so important. What was the game plan coming into today's match?
I mean, we didn't have a specific game plan. It was just, I mean, we were just playing our game and we were the better team today.
Okay. I mean, no plan. You guys just, played out of your minds and you guys did make it work. What were some of the comms like when you guys were, because this was a pretty close match as well. When you guys, it was back and forth, very back and forth match. While you guys were inside the match, what were some of the comms like?
I mean, it was a bit random and stressful, to be honest, since this is a very important match for us. So we don't get disqualified, but yeah, they were overall a bit shaky.
Shaky. All right, one final question. Is there a team, course, that you actually want to beat in Stockholm? Any team that you personally want to beat?
I want to play against Falcons again. I really think we can win against them.
All right, well, there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much, and big congratulations on getting the win. Tusk, take it away.
Push mid. 3, 2, 1, push. Okay, catch the ball. Kom igjen. Baby. Go main! Go main! Catch the ball. Ja, gå på. Da push magen. Copy. Nice!
That was a big victory there for Twisted Minds, an upset for sure for many in the crowd and at home as well. We're back here on the desk. Welcome Jake and Johnny to break it all down for us. But first, we're going to celebrate the match MVP, and it's got to be Labda. I do think we could have also given it to Quartz, who's having a phenomenal game, but that DPS duo is putting on so much pressure on the opposition. Falcon looked shaky against him in that first match, and they showed in this one that it's working. Their concept is working. Their take on the meta is working.
You know, I think it's the type of strategy you only run with a lot of confidence in the individual play of your DPS players, right? Like, they're not playing this style because it's necessarily the strongest or the most meta. They're playing it because they can run it better than anybody else in this tournament. And they've showed that, you know, they're just a really tough opponent to go against. So many times finding opening kills and getting cheeky pickoffs, but then also in the team fights, in the ultimate exchanges, I feel Labda has been a particularly great performer. His barrages have had so much value, and an ultimate that is often shut down in some of these fights, right? Often you're just killed off as the Pharah for trying to use it. The team has played really well around him to enable him to get that full value.
Yeah, I mean, we emphasize a lot the 2 damage players on Twisted Minds, but they're enabled by the backline and the fact that they have such great understanding of how the meta works and how can we play these heroes in this meta. So for the first time, you know, you were seeing the Ashe getting some poke in, can Quartz find a pick, and then later on, if you disengage, we re-engage with an orbital ray, that, you know, make Labda so much stronger on that Pharah as well. So there's a lot of like fight-win conditions here for Twisted Minds, and they're making the absolute most of it. So really impressive performance just individually from Quartz and Labda to find those picks and make the most of 2 heroes when, you know, we see the other teams playing Echo Reaper, but also credit to the backline for keeping these guys alive, you know, throwing the armor packs with the Pharah, for example, and just making sure they get some value down the line.
Yeah, I just love that Twisted Minds have been sticking to their identity. We've seen that already during the regular season, and they're rolling it here into the World Finals as well, and they're making it work, they're making it look good. Let's talk about this match as a whole, because quite frankly, at the very beginning, it looked like we saw the right adaptations from SSG coming out.
Yeah, they had this Genji Echo style, you know, really pushing the pace, pushing the tempo, which worked decently well on Control. It did get them the map win, but remember, this was super, super competitive, and then especially on Hybrid and Escort, I felt that was where Twisted Minds really started to take off, right? In these maps with longer open sight lines, able to kind of delay and slow down the engagements. That Genji Echo wasn't so strong, wasn't so effective at just ending fights right away. It wasn't as possible. So Twisted Minds, I mean, props to them playing their strategy to great effectiveness, understanding it really well. I feel like we got to also credit TVNT on the tank, who has a tough job with these, you know, more pokey DPS. Honestly, something like Echo Reaper is really going to put a ton of pressure on the Mauga, but TVNT was that wall in the front line, keeping the team stable, buying the time necessary for the rest of the team to find their kills, find their pickoffs. So really well done by them, and yeah, you got to give them credit for willing their idea of the meta into the game, and making it work in a style that only they can play.
Yeah, it's a really hard job on the Mauga because, of course, you have the game that you want to play. Like, how can I get the most value from my cardiac overdrive? How can I win this Mauga duel and get positioning? But there's a great understanding of how can I enable my Pharah? What is my Pharah up to? How can I enable them to get the most value possible? And even like a small pick we saw from Quartz on the first point here on New Junk City, picking this to Metra, for example, maybe a great read on that SSG will go for that Genji composition coming out to the first round. And that enabled them to get the first round here on New Junk City, and then you just kind of snowball on the back of that. So just a fantastic understanding of what each individual member on the team is trying to do, and like how do we enable that? And that is a very tough job. So I agree with you, Jake. Credit to TMNT for, you know, hyping up his 2 damage players.
Now, if we're having such a distinct look for this team that they've been relying on so heavily, is this too one-dimensional? Do they need something else up their sleeve in order to actually make it to the grand final?
I mean, Falcon showed an answer, right? Like, they found a way through. But one thing I think I did see from that Falcon series is that Falcons had to adapt, right? Like, what they thought coming in as the strongest meta comp, like this Ashe Pharah potentially does respond to that. It was when Falcons brought out things like the Junker Queen, brought out a hit scan of their own, that the tide really turned against Twisted Minds. So I think for other teams going up against Twisted Minds in the lower bracket, I don't think you can just throw the meta at them and hope that it works. I think they're very prepared for that. They look really good in the matchup. I think you need to have a special strategy prepared for Twisted Minds. You can't do the disrespect to them and just think, oh, we'll just play whatever we've been practicing. It won't matter. We'll win because it's the meta. You know, Twisted Minds have shown that they can beat the meta with their strat. You're going to have like a new evolution, a new style. Falcon showed I think it can be done, but not every team is going to have that depth in their strat book, and that's a place that SSG got really punished today.
Also, it's like really easy on a surface level. So you're like, oh, we'll play hit scan. You know, they're playing a Pharah. But then it's like, okay, well, you have to win a hit scan duel against Quartz, and then also Labda is extremely good at the Pharah to begin with, so they have a good understanding of like, how do I play around the opponent hit scan to get the most out of my hero? So not every team has a stalker that they can feel they just get the job done on the Widowmaker, right? So it's not as easy on the surface level to just say, play hit scan. I think it's going to give you a bit of a benefit. That's going to be give you a higher chance of winning, of course, but it's not that easy to play against a team like Twisted Minds.
Yeah, and very many teams which are left in the competition do not have the reps going up against this composition as well, so they might be struggling. Well, we find out very soon, but did you hear that? Did you hear it?